Chat, here we go. It's the EU One Shining Moment. We have a semi-final as these guys work to try and win the $500 winner-take-all prize. It's Joreuz and Toxiic. Now, the point of the One Shining Moment tournament was to get more people involved than Feer Jr. had and see if anybody had something secret cooking up. Well, apparently not. Toxiic and Joreuz have been in the 1v1 scene for a long time, and while some other teams, or some other players, I say, put up decent fights against them, they make their way to a semifinal to try and take the cash to prove that they are still the best in the game when it comes to European 1v1. We actually haven't had a ton of Europeans playing recently because Moxie was the only European representative in Feer Jr. The other two, or the other three, were Saudi Arabia, which was Nupo, and then two actually Moroccan representations in Drally and Nas. Now, Nas does play out of Europe, but he is from Morocco. Joreuz trying to go for a long-distance double, but it doesn't mean that Europe, isn't capable in 1v1. And if we had included a couple more European players, maybe they would have even been able to take down Nas and Drally, despite how impressive they have been recently. Wow, what a hook shot from Toxiic. I kind of want to go look up. Let me make sure. Yeah, I'm going to go look up how these guys have been doing in their matches recently, because I feel like it's been a bit since we've had either one of them on. Toxiic maybe played more recently, though Joreuz I think has been a while. Joreuz played on Johnny's stream. Toxiic is rated 22 in the world according to RL Duels, and Joreuz is rated 21. I wonder if they're actually entering the games that have been played so far today, because I want to say when I checked earlier, Toxiic was actually slightly rated above Joreuz, but now he's slightly behind. So this, in theory, is the closest possible matchup that you could ask for. But I guess Joreuz got a couple more points in his wins before this. Or no, it doesn't look like they have added Toxic's games at least. Toxiic played Drally recently. That was the one match that he did play. And actually Drally and Nas both. And he lost Nas in 5 and Drally in 3. But also easily took down Swift when Swift played him on USC servers. Now Joreuz, his matches have been entered. That's why he went above Toxiic, because Toxic's matches have not been put in. But Joreuz with a 3 over Rye before coming here. He also played Stizzy in Stizzy's debut on Johnny's stream, and that was a Game 5 win for Joreuz. But otherwise, it hasn't been too many matches from him as of late. The next matches are best of ones that happen in the Gamers Without Borders qualifiers. And that is where we're going to see a ton of 1v1 from these guys soon. Will be Gamers Without Borders. And man, it's, as a ones fan, it's fun to watch players in Gamers Without Borders, but it's like getting a slight taste of what could be the best tournament ever, which is, these guys actually playing full series against each other instead of playing maybe 1v1 through the entirety of a best of 5, sitting there begging for them to choose 1v1 again, and then they don't because the players never want to. But anyways, Toxiic starting off a little bit better here than Joreuz. I would say that Toxiic maybe comes in as the slight favorite based on recent results between the two of them. But honestly, I think it's going to be a fairly even matchup. I do think that Joreuz has the ability to ascend to another level, as he has proved many times, whereas Toxiic is more a very consistent and long-term top player in the sense that you know what you're going to get from him, but not necessarily is he going to pop off and take a tournament like this one. But maybe he can today. He has the likes of Joreuz in the way, as well as either Shadi, Atto, or Hamu over on the other side of the bracket. Very likely Atto could be coming out of that portion of it. This would be an impressive string of wins. Joreuz right now being kept at bay with 1:30 left to go, and he is trying to dive to make something happen, and instead that'll extend Toxic's lead even more. Who is Shadi? Shadi is a Saudi Arabian player who has been playing really well, has played in a couple of my tournaments before because he actually made it all the way through the tournament and into qualification, but he had a tough time against the top players once he made it there. and he's been trying to push to improve more and more. And certainly this would be a one shining moment type situation if Shadi were to able to take this all the way. His first round match was against Dark. He was able to win 3-1. That was a very exciting series over there. We have a few people who have helped cover the streams today. Hopefully they've enjoyed it and had a good time. As the tournaments always start out a little bit scuffed, but I think at the end of it all, the streams usually end up getting a couple good games. Joreuz looks like he's going down early, as he has only 40 seconds to get 4 goals because he's not currently in a kickoff. I can't imagine a world in which he gets them. Toxic faking this air dribble as Joreuz pre-jumps, but it's all just formalities as they feel each other out. Joreuz held, I was going to say held to a single goal in a game is not something you see very often, but he is going to get a second here with a bump on the back wall of Toxic. Kickoff magic isn't there, although Joreuz is going to try and find it. Basically needs a whiff from Toxic. Game number 1 going in favor of the Englishmen. Joreuz needs to find a way to get some consistent offense. Game number 2. Toxic and Joreuz. You guys had Joreuz pretty handily. You know, not necessarily by a landslide, but the chat prediction expecting a Joreuz win today. I would have put this at around a coin flip, but maybe even slightly Toxic favored. We'll have to see. Thank you, Marnik88, for the brand new Prime. Much appreciated. And High Quality with a tier 1 for 4 months says Joreuz 3-1. He's expecting 3 straight wins for the Dutchman. We'll see if that'll work out. He went into a very classic 1v1 Fennec, and he's going to be able to just ground pinch this in as Toxic preparing for the worst by heading to the ceiling. And Joreuz did not give him the worst. He just took the ball low. Toxic just caught up on the seam there. Couldn't really regain control of his car. Didn't want to completely jump off. Joreuz, I'm so surprised he stuck with his ball, especially after that first flick. Didn't seem like a position that was going to be favorable for him. He swung so wide. He needed to just leave after he popped that ball up because he didn't have enough boost to get back to it reasonably, only 14. But really, it might have all just come down to already being in too deep after that mistaken flick. Toxic has Joreuz shadowing. Needed to find an insane amount of power from a standstill, which is hard to do. Joreuz reset over the top of Toxic. Has the ball on target, and it needs to be. He was mostly just trying to get it over the top of the ceiling challenge from Toxic. Toxic has very clearly been trying to do. Toxic. Ball to air dribble all the way to the ceiling. Has a reset, but doesn't have a ton of options in terms of changing the ball trajectory. All this flick can do is accelerate it to a spot that Joreuz is going to be prepared for. Toxic now needs to recover quickly, and he actually did. Joreuz not as smooth a catch as he needed. Now these two fighting over just outside the net. Wow. Nice back and forth sequence. Toxic, though, pre-jumped that flick. Keeps the game tied. I think he was trying to demo there as he drove through the ball. I was thinking, if I don't connect, if I take Joreuz off the map, it doesn't matter. But he got neither. Now he's in his back corner. Great pinch at 0 boost. Especially after jumping and using your flip. You're about to be in really big trouble if you don't clear the ball. Toxic got a ton of power off that pinch. Joreuz from the ceiling just rolls the ball at Toxic. Allows Toxic to gain this possession. He is flicking from so far out. Seems like he could afford to bring it a bit closer. Give Joreuz less time to react for that save. He's trying to look down to see if he can avoid Joreuz, although I'm not sure there's much he could do anyways. So much easier to adjust on the ground than it is in the air. Joreuz, had he really wanted that demo, probably could just react to anything Toxic does. Neck and neck. Seems like a crucial next goal is waiting to be scored as Toxic booms his flick over the top. That is one of the reasons why you'd flick earlier if you're worried about getting it too much power to a point where you can't keep it under the crossbar. But Joreuz, what a save on the air dribble bump. Off the backboard. These guys have turned up the defense. As Toxic again checking his camera to see if he's going to get demoed on the landing. Toxic has really stuck to one attacking method, which is just getting that ball carry and trying to throw a flick at Joreuz. And he's done it with very little success, I would say. He's going to do it again. Gets Joreuz in net, but Joreuz, so smooth. Everybody nowadays recovers quickly by using the inside of the net. Toxic back in control with a minute left to go. Awkward ball to try and find a way to shoot here deep in Joreuz's corner. Instead, he's just going to take it across the field, try and starve Joreuz out, but Joreuz actually has 60 boost to work with. Bumped onto the wrong side of the ball. Can Toxic use this as his opportunity? Trying to drop it in just inside the far post. Joreuz has the save, 30 seconds. This has been an insane stalemate. And now really the next goal feels like it'll be the game winner. There's Toxic again, going right back to his flick with Joreuz shadowing. I think Joreuz feels comfortable in that position. I think it's time for Toxic maybe to not take a flick and bring the ball closer for a low 50 or something. Some kind of mix-up, because Joreuz has fully begun to read Toxic. Could not get this hook shot with any sort of power. So Toxic has to save, and he's back on offense. Will he take an air dribble? No, he wants another carry. He is sticking to it. Air dribble bump this time instead of a flick. I can't believe we didn't get a goal. We just have overtime. It's been, I swear, like 4 straight minutes of neither of them scoring. And now a kickoff could be volatile, but it actually is right back to where we were before. Toxic trying to set up his carry. Flicking to Joreuz on the shadow. Joreuz getting the save, although he finally didn't get a clean one, I would say. Toxic actually has a decent chance, but it baited Toxic into going for a follow-up that he otherwise wouldn't have previously, because Joreuz's saves were so much better. And Toxic could not get a solid 50. Joreuz scores on the counter and ties the series 1-1. I expect to see a bit of an adjustment here in game number 3. Can't imagine we'll continue to watch the Toxic flick while Joreuz shadows show that we just watched for 4 straight minutes, but maybe here we go again. It's the Toxic flick to Joreuz shadow. Toxic did wait longer this time. That's the downside of waiting too long, is if you can't keep the flick powerful and low, it'll just go over the top. It could lead to some easy goals for the opposition. Joreuz challenging Toxic on the wall. What a shot from Toxic. My man looking like me out there with that front flip that awkwardly connects with the ball. All that matters, though, is that it goes in the net. Bang! Yeah. That was definitely not a bang moment. Joreuz off the kickoff. Just pre-flips out in front of Toxic, who thought he was going to be able to get the boost uncontested. There will be another match today. This is the semifinals. Winner moves on to the Grands for an opportunity at $500. Joreuz playing with speed here as this game, seeing a ton more scoring than we saw at the end. Toxic had a chance of saving, maybe. Probably off of the bounce on the backboard. Probably not before it hit the backboard, but he definitely wanted to go up in the air. I think it's a bit of Feel's backflip from him. Toxic Headed to the back corner. He's going to take an air dribble, despite basically every other possession he's had all day long being a ground dribble flick. You know, maybe this is one of the reasons why Joreuz challenges early, steals it away clean, and then dodges the demo. You feel it coming, so single jumps immediately as he lands. Toxic swings underneath him to grab boost as well after missing the demo and himself too far out of position. Wow, the scoring is absolutely turned up now after such a long stalemate. When should you time your lunch run? Well, we're going to have this and then another best of 5. So if you think you can wait, I guess you can wait till after. Otherwise, assuming you don't want to miss the grand final, I don't know, maybe it's time to get the lunch run in as soon as possible. Toxic. Cannot connect on the demo. Joreuz is trying to get him back. Here we go, our favorite position. Toxic this time, double jump, bumping it, slows the ball down. Joreuz gets around it and has the save. Bumped again though, but no boost from Toxic to be able to follow it up. Joreuz has the edge in that department. He's not going to be able to score on this counter, but he is going to get Toxic to fall in the inside of his net and be awkward with low boost to make it possible for a follow-up. Just like this one, Joreuz with a 2-goal lead. Something it feels like we haven't seen in a bit. It all comes off the back of pinning Toxic into the net. Although Toxic had 30 boost to work with, so watching it back, maybe could have tried to challenge a bit earlier, but of course very easy to say in retrospect. Oftentimes it is the right decision. Stay patient in net. Toxic, he wants to get some aerial game going of his own, even though he doesn't score. He does fortunately bump Joreuz, which should allow for him to get scored on. Because Joreuz doesn't need boost and doesn't care if you bump him. Toxic doing his best to try and control the ball with the boost advantage back into his corner, but couldn't do so. Joreuz, oh, that's a big miss. Might be able to follow it up. Nope, it's 2 misses in a row. And Toxic will get a 3rd goal. Joreuz absolutely coming off of a hot streak by just missing a free net. Bang indeed, yeah. Yeah, Joreuz with an absolute banger. Toxic's just going to let him have one because he felt bad for him. I think was trying to touch that ball maybe back towards his side while he flipped through ahead of Joreuz to get the boost. I think is the game plan there. But that relied on an actual touch of the ball. Instead he whips it. Joreuz 50. Toxic trying to see if he can punish him from being out of position. Joreuz taps it off the back wall as a pass and he covers the follow-up. Now ceiling resets onto the ball. Toxic saves it back out to midfield. And Joreuz looks like he's going to waste time. He wants to bait Toxic in and then take it over the top of him. But Toxic just stay patient and shadowed. And Joreuz still took it to him. Ooh, Toxic, nice speed. Joreuz grabbing the 100 at the midfield. Thinking he can afford to stay close to the play, but that's only if Toxic doesn't find that extra burst. Good timing as well, right, as Joreuz reaping in. Toxic, nice little keep away play. And he is within 1 after the Joreuz spurt. Joreuz 20 boost to work with, thought he could get up to the ball. Toxic, though, very intentionally getting underneath the ball to hit it as vertically as possible. He's not worried about getting the ball on target. How about whatever play makes sure Joreuz doesn't touch at all. Toxic cannot get his back corner boost. Power slide cut for Joreuz as he forces the ball back into a playable position. just barely short of that top left corner. Has the ceiling reset, so a way to try and extend this play, but it's not going to happen. Toxic, has he finally done it? He has. Toxic on so many different occasions has tried to catch Joreuz off guard with this long shot. He's felt like he's out of position, and every time Joreuz has made it back, but this time the equalizer, 43 seconds left to go, finds its way in. Toxic wave dash catch. Cannot get anything. Joreuz has the demo. Toxic should be able to respawn. Joreuz knows he's going to be panicking, and so goes for the low 50. As Toxic has a very high likelihood of flying past the play on an early challenge when he tries to do that off a respawn. Now 23 seconds. Toxic not able to get the midfield boost. He dove there, thinking he could maybe beat Joreuz. There, Joreuz! The tight angle shot, and it's just too awkward for Toxic to slow down after he tried to race to Joreuz in the corner. Super big delay by Toxic in an attempt to kind of cheese out the end of this game, see if he could chip it over the top of Joreuz, but didn't get the connection, so it is going to be Joreuz up 2-1. Somebody in chat was saying that Joreuz would be winning 3 straight after his first game loss. Well, that chatter is looking like they know the future. 6-9 with 3 seconds left to go. A very nice scoreline indeed. Certainly Joreuz wouldn't think about ruining that for us. Of course not. Game number 4 coming up next between Toxic and Joreuz. Game number 4. You used to be a Feer fan. You used to be a Feer fan, but you still are. Well, that's good. That's good to hear. I think that's something that all of chat can relate with. Oh my goodness, Toxic. I feel like Toxic, for the entirety of this match, has been searching for this flick. This is the one that he knew he could do in order to punish Joreuz from distance, because I've been giving him crap for shooting it so early. But I tell you what, if that's what you have in store, you fire from anywhere, because that will be a goal every time. Joreuz saving a bit of boost to try and recover to stop this counterattack, but it's going to be Toxic in control again. Couldn't find the power, but this time it actually works out. Maybe Joreuz expecting a bit more power. And flipping past the ball. What happened to Joreuz? Haven't seen him in a while. I think he's just locked in on RLCS. I think he's just fully locked in on RLCS, so he hasn't been playing as much ones. I think that sometimes, I talked about this before, as Toxic scores again, all of a sudden he has just come alive with these flicks. That the top players, like Joreuz, is kind of the agreed upon #1 in the world, I would say. And sometimes when you have that title, it's almost like a discouraging title to play more games. Right? Once you've climbed the mountain, why play anymore? You could just stop playing and you're the best. Now, I don't know if that has anything to do with it. I think he's just focusing on 3v3, but we've seen that on occasion from players who are peaking. They basically, what it comes down to is they only want to play if they can give their best, right? You know, they know they've held a very high standard for themselves, and they don't want to just play a ones match and get a loss when they haven't been practicing. They want to be sure that they're giving it their best effort, and so I think that's the case for Joreuz. You know, he has 3s to focus on right now. Doesn't feel like he could give his absolute best. Oh my goodness, Toxic. What is going on right now? He is just leveled up. He has decided to stop playing with the ankle weights. He took them off, and now it's time to get down to business. My goodness. 5-0, not just with the flick game, but also the insane aerial game. He's got another kickoff win. He's gonna go pogo! Toxic! Okay, he's looking for the heat check. He's like, how on fire am I really? Can I hit a pogo right now? Because if I do, then I'm truly unstoppable. but he did not. Toxic demoed, and in fact, his heat check will be the end of the hot streak. Yen versus Swift? Yeah, I've actually been trying to set up Yen versus Swift. Where can you watch Rewas matches? Rewas matches are all exclusively on youtube.com/@Feer. You'll never find a Rewas match anywhere else, so you might as well just subscribe there. There's also some Rewas matches on Johnny's channel. In fact, the most recent ones, like the ones against Zen, are on Johnny's channel. Toxic cannot protect this dribble. And so Joreuz is going to continue his way back. How is Hamu versus Atto going? You could, of course, go check out yourself on twitch.tv/Hercules, as she should be still having the game, assuming it's still being played. We are just watching a completely different 1v1 here all of a sudden. As Toxic is 100% on form with the flicks. It took him a few games to load them up, but he's remembered how to hit them with perfection. And he's got himself a 6-2 lead. Toxic. Okay, alright, wait, could still work. All he needed to do was get the pop. If he landed back down and single jumped and connected, which is what he tried to do, it could actually turn into a shot, but but instead he just kind of danced around, missed his breezy setup, and flopped away from the ball. Uh-oh. Joreuz direct kickoff goal. Okay, it's very clear that the hot streak is over. Joreuz creeping his way back. You got to meet Feer in San Diego before he turned all Hollywood. Okay. Chat, when did I turn Hollywood? Since you guys won't ever stop giving up this bit, it seems like no matter what I do. Let's at least decide when old Feer stopped existing and when Hollywood Feer began. The old Feer wouldn't let such a toxic player be in the tournament. Yeah, I get it. His name is Toxic. Joreuz, nice demo. Wait, Toxic, the respawn! Toxic. He needs to hit up the casino. He's got top tier luck. High maintenance Feer now. Probably when the mustache obscured the upper lip. It's just a mustache thing. If I shave it, do I get to go back to being old Feer? As soon as the first Zen match happened, new Feer went Hollywood on us. Brutal. Double reset from Joreuz. Doesn't lead to anywhere. The tight angle redirection. Minute left to go for Joreuz to bring it back. This should be the no, actually, it's not going to be. It's not fast enough. Toxic is there actually fairly easily. So Joreuz really needs a clean possession, and it seems like Toxic is trying not to give it to him by staying completely on the ball. Finally, Toxic forced to shadow. Air dribble bomb. Toxic makes it back down. Toxic, what a save. Got pushed to the back wall. Those early air dribble bumps oftentimes do not connect, but Joreuz stuck with it and is able to flip out, get the first touch reset, and use that to pop it over the top of Toxic. Do Fear happened when you changed the YouTube thumbnails? Sorry, guys. Couldn't do my own thumbnails forever. Toxic. Almost able to extend the lead. Joreuz within one now. 6 seconds left to go. We could see an overtime. Feer did allow skate parch in. That's true. Old Feer would have never let us skate parch. Wave dash kickoff for Toxic. He has possession. He could just take it away. Wait, Joreuz. He knows that it was going to get taken away, so he understandably cut in field, but without any boost. It's not going to matter. Game 5 in Toxic versus Joreuz. Game number 5. Toxic and Joreuz. Coming into this match, I had a feeling these guys were very equally matched. Although it seemed like Joreuz was gaining a bit of momentum, Toxic went absolutely Super Saiyan in Game 4 and got himself enough of a lead. The problem for him, though, is that he extended the lead early, and since then, Joreuz has actually been working his way back, which would suggest that momentum is even in Joreuz' favor here for this Game 5, despite Toxic winning Game 4. It'll all come down to how he plays this one. Oh my goodness, the flicks are there. These flicks were not there earlier, and they just have arrived. 105 km/h, jumping before the midfield line so that it's officially at least a half-field flick. Toxic faking to get Joreuz in the air. That is one way to cash in on how solid he's been with those flicks. Wait, Old Fear has always used KPH. I've had KPH since the very beginning because I've said this a few times, but if you downloaded the game like right away, like in the early days, KPH was the default even for people like in America that use the metric system. So then when they added the metric system, it might not have even been in the game at first, or when they made it the default, you know, if you already had the game, you got grandfathered into keeping it KPH. So I don't think I ever switched it. It's just been KPH since I downloaded it. KPH is not default. I don't think it's default if you download it in the US. I prefer freedom units. Joreuz turning to challenge Toxic as he tries to collect the ball and get to another one of his ball carries that have been so lethal all of a sudden. Earlier, Joreuz was more than willing to let him do that because he would just save every single flick. Toxic couldn't find the speed. But now he's learned his lesson not to let Toxic get to that position. Joreuz trying to boom the ball off his corner in an attempt to start his counterattack. Toxic able to intercept it. Joreuz, a little bit too much separation on the start of that dribble. And now what is going on with Joreuz' car behind? Toxic, can he capitalize on Joreuz flopping around like a fish on the ground? It seems like not yet so far, but Joreuz only a bit of boost to work with as Toxic reset on the ceiling, uses the flip. Can he get the double? He can't, not quite. Still has Joreuz in a tough position, working off only pads. Oh, Toxic leaning back for the reset and then trying to flip all the way underneath the ball for the musty. Not easy to do. He does not succeed, and this flick isn't it. Joreuz challenges, takes it away, and oh my goodness, Toxic, nice recovery. Does not get the lead, but now we have swapped positions. Toxic going to get pinned back. He actually decides to dive out to the corner to get his 100, which does put him slightly out of position, I would argue, but he gets Joreuz to miss on the first, and he follows up the save on the second for the lead. Toxic, a back and forth, ultimately in his favor, just over halfway through. Thank you, Sweaty Carts, for the 510 bits. Joreuz, pinch across the whole field. Toxic able to save it. Now it's Toxic back the other way. Working around as Joreuz tries to stay with the ball. In and out of the net, quick recovery, but he decided to dive. And he used that flip as well as Toxic cut the ball around him. Needed to connect. Joreuz trying to play this away from Toxic. Toxic able to cut that off there. Hasn't let Joreuz out of the orange half in a while here. Did not pick up this corner boost. Allows Joreuz to grab it. And Joreuz even the net there for a second. Taking the risk that Toxic could have put something on target. Was expecting him to go for something like a double, which he did. And made it possible for Joreuz to gain the ball. And now a 50 with Toxic. Brings him within 1 minute 15. Joreuz wave dash kickoff. Bump on Toxic. Wait. Oh, for a second. I misread it. I thought he bumped Toxic and got him to like own goal it. But no, it was wide. Joreuz cannot get the double. Now double jump. Pre-jumped to cover by Toxic. Joreuz will just slam it right back into him again. Has the boost and the ball at the midfield. Toxic has completely left the play into the opposite corner. Joreuz slow air dribble bump, or what seemed like was going to be a bump, but he actually decided to pull off the ball. And he gets nothing out of his possession. It'll be Toxic the other way. Joreuz going to stop his air dribble bump. Those aren't even really close to working, as it seems like the player on offense hasn't been fully committing. Toxic trying to dodge the demo. The shot is the slowest shot I've ever seen. I swear Toxic could have gotten more power there. But he just slapped it with the pool noodle, and it barely moved. Joreuz, a chance to send it to OT. Toxic, what a save. Was Toxic wall dashing as well to make it back, but I think that save might have done it. It looked like Joreuz was going to force overtime. There's the GGs with 6 seconds. He's not going to try and get 2 kickoffs in these moments. Wow. Couldn't have hoped for a closer match. But it is Toxic who wins it in the final moments of Game 5.